Okay.
All right. Welcome to the Explore Academy Las Cruces board meeting. I will call this meeting to order at 5:59 p.m. on April 8th, 2026. Um, since Sam isn't going to be here today, she has some family stuff. I guess I will do the roll call real quick. So Christine is going to be in and out. We'll come back to her. Gabby?
I said I was here.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Okay, I heard you
I'm
that
here.
time.
Oh no,
Gabby?
sorry, here.
Okay. Violetta?
Here.
Terry?
Here.
Angel here, Ray not here. All right, so we've established a quorum, so let's get rolling. Do you have the flag, Alexis? Oh, look at that. Look at you go. All right, so we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance real quick. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. Thank you. You are more prepared than I have been.
I
Okay.
wouldn't go far, but we're trying.
All right, moving on. Approval of tonight's agenda. Tonight's agenda should be fine. I don't think we have any things that need to move around, so I will make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight as is.
And I second it.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, soccer here, hand Christine. So, all right, motion passes. All right, and then approval of minutes from last meeting, which was in February because we did not have one last month. I looked them over. I thought they were fine. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the 2/11/2026 meeting minutes as written.
I'll second that motion.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Okay. Josh isn't here yet because we started super early. Well, 1 minute, I guess, isn't super early, but we will, is anybody in the waiting room?
No. I'm looking at it. I'm like, no.
I'm trying to make this fast, guys. It's not working very well. Um,
Can we table it and go move on to the next one until he
let's do
shows
it.
up?
Yeah. So we will, I don't know if I need a motion. We'll just make a motion real quick. So we're gonna do a switcheroo on the finance and the head admin report. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, perfect. Alexis, you're up.
That wasn't ready. All right. So currently, for enrollment, we are looking at 413. I've lost two who the kinder and the sixth grader got in, but the third grader didn't. So that person has rescinded their invitation. But I have like six people on the list who have applied since Saturday. So I'd send out acceptance letters and waitlist letters on the weekend. So I think right now we're sitting at about between 417 and 419. We are really hoping for around 435. So I mean, we're slowly inching our way forward on that.
Good, that's better news than yesterday. So,
Yeah,
awesome.
we're getting there.
There's still
And
hope.
then, oh, my bad.
Nope, I said there's still hope. That's
There's
it.
still hope. It says head administrator update to GC, but I don't know what that means.
Oh, I think I don't know what that one is either.
It's head administrator update to them.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any other updates school-wide?
Well, you put me on the spot, then I can't remember anything. We have the PED coming tomorrow to look at our outdoor learning classroom that is in development. Ms. Topmiller and her team have been really working hard to get everything built. So we have the greenhouse, we have a shed, there's like an area with some turf. We have a carport that is going to be a tent. Planters have been installed. So there's a lot of cool stuff happening there. I'm super excited about that. The eighth grade team is planning an eighth grade promotion, and today they had the eighth graders take their like, was it today? It might have been yesterday. Had their eighth graders take pictures so that they kind of have a picture of them for the celebration. We're planning the kinder award ceremony. The fifth grade's planning the fifth grade award ceremony. We are looking at having a middle school barbecue at the end of May. So there's a lot of events happening and lots of cool stuff going on.
Awesome.
And then we got our contract negotiations worked out. That happened at the beginning of March. And it's actually later down, but we were able to get some things put on the contract that are going to help us, especially data collection wise. The way that our data collection is currently is very clunky, and it's going to take a significant amount of time to gather all the data for this year to submit. But next year it should be a lot easier. And especially because we're moving to Synergy. And it'll just be easier for us to pull data from that. So I'm super excited about that.
And
We did have one teacher who resigned to move to Massachusetts. We've already hired a replacement. He started after spring break. So
nice. Cool. Yeah, I would say for the contract negotiations, I think they went really well. The PEC was super receptive to everything that we talked about. They did do the financial condition and the math condition. So those two conditions are going to be in our contract. If you guys all had a chance to look over the documents that were in there. We did update the performance framework, right? Left the
yes.
mission goal as was. Um, yeah, and then there's the financial form. So we should be in really good shape. They said the next steps for this are we have to sign this resolution, vote on, and I will sign the resolution that gets turned into the PEC. And then they have a meeting next week where they will approve that we have approved. And then everything will just be official at that point and we'll be good for our next 5 years. So any questions on the renewal? I mean, we can talk about it a little more a little further down, but
So
Oh,
not
Josh. Hold on.
not on the renewal, but I just wanted to ask Alexis on so the enrollment, I think we're ahead in that we're doing good. You have six students on a waiting list. How have you seen an improvement in what it was to last year with using Target River marketing? How has that gone?
So I think the marketing plan has worked pretty well. Um, but I wasn't involved in it last year, so it's really hard for me to say how it went versus last year. Um, but I mean, I'm getting a lot of leads. So I mean, there's been probably, I don't know, 25 leads that have shown up on the thing. I've called almost all of them. I need to call some more people tomorrow. Um, I would say that kind of our biggest issue is that a lot of people are trying to enroll in grades 1 through 5, and we do not have room in grades 1 through 5. So the wait list there varies from like 7 in third grade all the way to like 12 or 13 in first grade. So there's a lot of want out there in those grades, but we don't have the room. So
Okay.
currently we are pretty much at max for kinder. I still have room for about 26 graders, 15 seventh graders, and about 10 eighth graders.
Okay, and is that something that our marketing company is promoting, like to advertise and letting families know that that is what we have available, the
Yes.
seats?
All
Okay,
the new ad proofs that I saw last week that went out were specific to saying grades 6 and 7.
wonderful. And I have seen some things on my social media, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. So that's something they're putting out there.
Yes.
We're not doing it ourselves. Okay, and it looks really nice and professional. So yeah,
Good.
thank you.
yeah, and it looks like they've been advertising on the Google ads, the Meta, so Instagram and Facebook. There was one other one, drawing a blank, don't remember. Oh, the TV for the commercials and stuff, as
YouTube.
people, YouTube, yeah, that's what it was.
Mhm.
So they'll run the minute long commercial, and on whoever has a YouTube and is watching whatever show it is, if it's the demographic. So we've gotten a lot of traction and a lot of impressions. And I do think we're headed in a good direction. We did have a conversation yesterday at the finance committee, trying to figure out like what happens going forward. Do we still want to incur like the $10,000 a month almost $10,000 a month charge for Target River based on what we're getting from enrollment? Or is that something, now that we have the content already created, which is the biggest lift, is that something we can bring in-house for significantly cheaper and just kind of pay for our own ads, if you will, on the different platforms? Because we have people potentially with those capabilities. It's just a matter of finding them and figuring out who's willing to kind of help with that.
Yeah.
Great.
But I think it's been well worth it up to this point. I mean, just the content alone, I think makes it worth it because all that content will be ours once we're done.
Yeah,
And
that's pretty nice. So
yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you for that update.
All
Can I
right.
just can I just say really quick to everybody who's joining, we're running this like a normal Zoom because we have to have a closed session. But if you don't mind keeping yourselves muted and until it comes time for public comment. Sorry, we have a lot of people with us.
Yeah, much more than normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
I do not see anything on here for a teacher spotlight. Did we leave that off this
No,
month?
I left it off because I was worried we were already going to run long.
Got it. Okay. That works. Um, okay. Anything else you want to update us on, Alexis?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Any other questions from board members for Alexis? No? Okay. All right. So we'll wrap up this section. And based on what we just voted on a little bit ago, we're going to go ahead and move over to finance now. So, Josh, you are up.
Okay, thank you for having me. Let me share my screen. Okay, can everyone see the window saying audit review? Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to review the FY25 audits. First, we're going to compare the audit findings. So the corrected audit findings from FY24 that were corrected in FY25. Those were financial close and reporting, internal controls over journal entries, procurement, internal controls over cash receipts, and internal controls over cash disbursements and payroll. So these were corrected from the FY24 audits and were not repeated in the FY25 audit. Next, we'll go to the FY25 findings. The school received 5 findings. One was a repeated finding. The first finding was internal controls over pension and OPEB reporting. So there were withholdings totaling of around 650K and RHC wages of 680K roughly that were reported in the wrong fiscal year. What happened here was due to the cash flow of the school and how we had to split payroll into separate fiscal years. This also messed up the fringe benefits payments as well. And in doing so, because we paid it out, there was some complications there. We don't see that being a problem at all. The school is going to have plenty of cash at the end of this fiscal year, and the closing process is a lot more robust this year. So that was essentially the cause. The next steps. So this year we're reviewing June and July ERB and RHC reports, and then implementing a larger fiscal year ending payroll reconciliation process. And again, this will be easier this year because the school will have enough cash flow to pay everybody by the end of the fiscal year and not split it beyond or split it between fiscal years. The second finding has to do with the loan that the school had last year for items. So there's quite a bit here. They found that there were some non-qualifying items that were included in the capital asset roll forward. 168,000 of building improvements were abandoned because of the lease determination, resulting in around a $93,000 loss in the loan. $210,000 in improvements were excluded from the roll forward. 615,000 LP debt executed without PED approval, so we didn't ask for approval for this particular loan by PED, and 293,000 of loan proceeds were incorrectly recorded via revenue. This was just an object code issue. The auditors thought that we should have coded the revenue to a separate object code. We coded it to something that we thought was appropriate. They didn't deem it as appropriate, so we got deemed because of that. And then lastly, $87,000 of payments aren't continuing to be paid due to a loss of the amount of assets that are at the building that the school no longer uses. So quite a bit here associated with the loan that the school received. There's really not much that we can do about the loss of money due to the abandoning the lease that the school had. With the other property, we now know what object codes to code everything due to this instance, so we don't foresee that being an issue. The capital asset roll forward, now that we had this instance is corrected and will be corrected going forward. So we don't see a problem there. Really the only thing that we need to do is just make sure that the loaner and the school both have the same amount of um, long-term liability booked on each of our books to coincide. But essentially, the rest of these items are one-time findings with the association of the loss of the extra building that the school had last year. Okay, moving on to the third finding. This is expense and accounts payable. So the school had invoices totaling around 26,000 that were excluded for the accounts payable accruals. 16,000 was an electricity invoice that was not received timely, and property tax payments totaling 128,000 were late, resulting in around $13,000 in penalties. This was another finding having to do with cash on hand for the school. There were a lot of invoices that we simply couldn't pay because the school didn't have cash, therefore getting late penalties and not being able to submit those very timely. Also, due to the change in moving away from ELN, a lot of the invoices were going to them instead of the school and the new CPO. So there was some missed invoices that weren't accrued into the accounts payable just because the school never received them. ELN used to handle all the CPO duties and in submitting invoices. So there was a disconnect there. We since corrected that. All invoices are now going to the school. Again, the school has enough cash balance and will at the end of the year, so we'll be able to pay all liabilities, including utilities, in a timely manner, and anything that would carry over, such as utilities such as electricity, Comcast, internet, things like that, will be booked appropriately in the AP system because it'll be a lot easier now that the school is receiving all those invoices instead of the ELN group. Okay. Next is cash management and budgetary conditions. This, again, has a lot to do with the cash of the school. The budget over exceeded its expectations. I think a lot of us were here last year in this group and knew that we would be over budget by quite a bit, having to do with the two buildings, the unknown tenant improvements charges that the school someone had to pay and was on the hook for without a lot of or any one of us really knowing about it. So that did affect the budget. This should be corrected this year, and it certainly will because we're adhering to the budget that we created. It's been really a conservative budget, and there's enough cash flow on hand in order to adhere to the budget. Bars are being submitted in a timely manner to correct this. As soon as we get to the end of the year, we'll see quite a bit of bars in order to make sure that we don't go over any fund or function balances to adhere to the budget in that manner as well. And we'll see later on in one of the presentations all the bars that will be submitted this month, which will help balance the budget as well. Okay, lastly, is another finding for controls over contracts. This has to do with the lease agreement that was signed by someone that wasn't on the board or a representative of the board. That in fact was a finding as well. Don't foresee this to happen ever again, especially with this board. I don't think this will be a repeat finding by any stretch of the imagination. Okay. Any questions on the findings? What's next? Okay. So as far as accomplishments are concerned, we have clear steps to correct these findings. We believe we corrected most, if not all of these already. Hoping to have as close to a clean audit as we can possibly get this upcoming year. As far as the next 30 days are concerned, it's budget season, so we have a budget that is due in late April, April 30th. We have to submit that to PED, um, but we'll have plenty of time to present that to the board in order for you all to sign off on it. If there's any changes that need to be made, we'll be able to make those. If the board doesn't approve the budget via bar, or we'll have PED open up the budget. But it'll be based off of the plan that the finance committee created in the fall for the most part. As soon as we get our 120-day count in, we'll be able to get the 910B5, which is the calculation that PED uses for projections for SEG, and then be able to submit the budget on time at the end of April. And then you all will see that budget, approve it or not, any adjustments, we'll be able to make those adjustments. As far as other things due in the next 30 days, a Q3 cash report is due, so that's due by the 30th as well. We'll submit that. And future items will look at FY25 and FY27's enrollments, see where we are, see where we project for the 40th day. That'll have a lot to do with any budget changes that we foresee for the upcoming fiscal year, and gear our forecast to those changes. And then also, we just want to adhere to the current budget that we have as much carryover as possible, so it'll help the school out in FY27 from FY26. Okay, that's all I have for the presentation. Are there any questions about any of these items?
No, but just a heads up. I know we talked yesterday and we were at like 413 on our enrollment. I've lost two off that number, but I have six more on the list. So I think we're closer to 417, 420. So we're continuing to move up.
Great. And just so the group knows, the school submitted its projections this past October for 411 students. So that's what the initial basis of the SEG will be, and that's what the submitted budget will be based off of, 411. The fluctuation between 411 and 416, 17, around there will just help us plan for later on if the SEG amount goes up or down based on that 48-day amount.
It'll be a nice change to like have an upward trajectory in a spring instead of not.
Mm-hmm.
We'll keep getting better.
Positive moves.
Yep. No questions from
me. Okay. All right, so no questions there. I'll move on to the check register for February. Pretty standard monthly expenses, nothing too high. That is out of the ordinary. Of course, we have NIPSIA, which is high rents, the loan payments for our school buses, things of that nature. Two items here that are different than we normally see as far as vendors are concerned. It's Target River. That was the marketing company that you all were discussing earlier. That's a monthly payment of $9,736.65. So we paid one invoice and then paid the other a little bit early to get ahead in that manner. So that's different this month. And Clifton Larson Allen, that's our last payment to the auditors to complete and finish FY25 in that audit. benefits, expenses here in ACH, fringe benefits, and then P card. Quite a lot of action here, but most of it has to do with general supplies, materials, and maintenance for the school. There's quite a bit here that we're associated with the math grants and the outdoor grants here. So general supplies and materials associated with that, that the school will be reimbursed on. And then lastly, payroll and payroll taxes for around 262K. Any questions on any vendors or amounts for February?
No, but just for the group, in our finance committee meeting, we were also discussing Amazon. We are still actively trying, or Sabrina is, our CPO, actively trying to get on the Amazon invoicing system. They're just waiting kind of for our credit to build back up since we split from ELN. So we are actively trying. I don't know how often she calls, but probably a couple times a month. So we'll eventually get that established, and the need for the P card will go down. But for now, it just kind of is what it is.
Correct. Yeah. No such luck, even speaking to any human being, calling Amazon or getting any kind of headway. I think what the hesitancy is the school um, had pretty much a bad credit account with Amazon, so they're not very open to opening up the invoice option for the school due to fear that the school may pay late or not pay at all due to past issues. So if we build up our credit with them and continue to pay on time, I think that we'll have better luck moving that to invoices. All right, move on to March. Um, not a lot of action compared to February. Still associated monthly bills from outside vendors that you don't usually see are happen to be just reimbursements to staff members for items that they purchase on behalf of the school. So that's Brittany, Top Miller, and Alexis. And as far as P card, more Amazon charges having to do with general supplies and materials, and then of course maintenance from Home Depot. And then payroll around 298,000 for the month of March. Okay. Bank reconciliation for February. School started off with around 1.6 million, had receipts of around 1.2 and disbursements of 748,000. So positive net activity, 443, building that bank balance to carry over to the end of the year when SEG goes down. Expected general ledger and general ledger both match. There is a difference. I'm sorry, they're off by $161 due to a journal entry, and the journal entry is movement of $861 from the NSLP fund into operations. The school had an audit on its food funding, and the audit finding there was that there was $861 that was paid out of the food fund in that should have been paid out of operations. So they needed us to make this journal entry just to close out FY27 and clean out our books there. So this is just to correct a finding that they found in that particular audit, which is separate. This audit is completely separate from the annual financial audit that the school receives. So hopefully this correction, we won't find another audit or get another audit from them in around 3 to 4 years. Any questions on the February bank reconciliation? Okay, moving on to March. School had around $2 million in the bank and receipts of 536,000 and disbursements of 582,000. So negative activity of $45,000 roughly. This is due to the fact that SEG did go down due to the 40th day enrollment. So we'll probably see some negative net activity until the end of the year that will just need our bank balance to cover those expenses. We did void around 4 payments that were outstanding all the way back from from June. One in particular, we couldn't get a hold of the vendor. Sabrina tried multiple times to get a hold of him. There was no response whatsoever, and that was we wrote that check back in June. So we decided to void that one. Three other payments were paid via P card instead of um, invoices. So we voided those checks because they were already paid just via P card instead of invoices. The expected general ledger and general ledger both matched, indicate clean books and no journal entries to report to the group to vote on. Okay. Have those. And does the group want to approve the check register and bank reconciliation before I get to the bars, or do you want to just
I'm gonna
do
say
them all at
yes
once?
because there is a lot of bars, and that would be a very long list that I'm gonna have to say, and I'd rather not add to it. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the February and March 2026 check register, bank reconciliation, and the February journal entry that Josh presented.
I will second it.
All right, Terry,
Yes.
Violetta,
Yes.
Gabby,
Yes.
Christine. Do we still have Christine?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
awesome. Angel, yes. All right, motion passes. All right, Josh, back to you.
All right. Great. So we have a lot of bit of bars to run through, around 13 of them. We'll go with the first one here. This is an increased bar due to the new grant that the school received in late February. So this is for professional development for the administration, and it could be used for any type of finance professional development for the school. The problem is we only have such a short amount of time to use this money. It expires in June 5th is when it expires. So it's $10,000 here, and we move that to other services as an expense item. So we're hoping to spend this down some way, somehow, but they're not making it easy on some things that we have to spend it on in a short amount of time to do so.
So if there are other board members that have ideas maybe of a beneficial finance training that we could send our CPO to, or maybe Alexis, in all of her free time, just anybody at the school, send them my way or send them to Alexis, and we'll see what we can finish before June 5.
Right. Yeah, this particular grant doesn't carry over, so if we don't use it, we lose it. So yeah, any ideas would be helpful if y'all have any. All right. Here's another increase bar. This is a state match, SB9 state match cash. So this is an increase of $27,565.42 due to an award letter from PED. So this can be used for supply assets of $5,000 or less, which include technology, laptops, things of that nature. So this is a great help for the school when it comes to that, and it came right before the end of the year, so it's just really nice. Now we have a decrease bar of Title One. This is the final award. They make adjustments throughout the year based on enrollments. So this is a deduction of $1,747.93. All of our Title One funds go to salaries. So it's just a deduction of the salary expense item for this particular grant. Okay, so now we have a decrease bar relating to the cash fund balances of the operational accounts. So this coincides with the audit finding of being over budget in this particular fund operational. So this is deduction of $205,613.53, which will coincide with what the auditors have and what PED has. So we have to deduct that from the initial budget to be within compliance. The deduction came out mostly out of salary expenses and rental land and buildings in order to match that of the audit. We have another Decrease bar out of food services of $36,974.66. Again, this is another cash position fund balance match of that of the audit and what PED has. So we had to deduct from this year's budget to coincide with that. This is an increase in the state universal free lunch. So this is the USDA state version. It's an increase in $90,782 to match the cash position of the FY25 audit. Another increase bar of non-instructional support of $395. So this is that account, Alexis, that we were talking about when it came to fundraising. This is that particular account that we'll use. So that's $395 that carry over from the past year to match the audit's cash position in there. And a decrease in $29,966 in the REC District Fiscal Agent Fund. This is all related to salary expenses, so this was lowered in order to meet that cash position of the audit. So this is an initial budget of the spaceport grant money. So essentially this is just carryover from past years of $31,273. We plan on using all this money this year in salaries to offset any operational expenses. And this is another cash position audit initial budget. So carryover from previous years of $10,020 for a private direct grant. Not too sure what this grant is. It's been here since the last business management company was handling the school, so we didn't get much information on it. But I'm speaking with the auditors now to see if they know what we can use this money on, and if we can, because it seems restricted, but I don't know how restrictive it can be, and hopefully we can use it to offset some operational expenses somehow. And this is a decrease of $10,000 to match the cash position of the FY25 audit for SB9 state match cash. And we lowered software and supply assets of $5,000 or less to match what the auditors and PED have. Okay, and this is the initial budget for the kitchen school infrastructure grants. So essentially, this is the carryover of what is left of the kitchen grants from the previous fiscal year. So this is the amount that the school will have to spend within this fiscal year and next fiscal year in kitchen grants related to the kitchen grant and the areas there. So we expect to spend at least half of that this year, but we'll have some carryover for next year that the school has some plans for. And lastly, this is an increased bar of bus replacement. The school received a replacement bus in FY25 that we should be able to get reimbursed on. Each bus is $33,329. So that is an increase there for a full budget adjustment and total of $85,819. Any questions regarding regarding the bars? I know there's quite a bit, and they're kind of sporadic. Not all of them are all the same. There's quite a bit related to the FY25 audit, some new funds, some new grants the school received, and new areas of revenue.
No question for me. We talked about all these pretty in depth in the finance meeting, so I'm comfortable with them, and I know a lot of it is just matching for the audit. So, any other board members have any comments? No. Okay. All right, I'm going to hopefully not mess up all the numbers and hopefully not have any dyslexia because I have to go one by one and tell you all the numbers that we're about to approve because they all have letters after them. If they didn't have letters, I would just say through, but unfortunately that's not the case. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the following bars. 581-000-2526-0013I, 581-000-2526-0014I, 581-000-2526-0015D, 581-000-2526-0016D, 581-000-2526-0017D, 581-000-2526-0018I, 581-000-2526-0019I, 581-000-2526-0020D, 581-000-2526-0021IB, 581-000-2526-0022IB, 581-000-2526-0023D, and last but not least, 581-000-2526-0024IB. Okay,
We have one more. One more.
which one? This one?
Yes.
Okay, and
26I.
okay, and 581-000-2526-0026I. Okay, so because it's money, we'll do a roll call. Oh wait, I need a second first.
I
I
second.
second.
Awesome. Thanks, Violetta. Okay, now we'll do a roll call. Violetta,
Yes.
Gabby,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Angel, yes. Okay, motion passes. Bars are good to go. Josh, go ahead and get them submitted, and we should be all set on those. We'll look forward to the other finance meetings we have about budget over the next couple weeks as we work through that. Anybody else have anything for Josh?
Thank you, Josh, for the good explanation on each one of them.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Josh, for always being so open with us about our finances.
Agreed.
No problem. I try.
I'm just glad it's a better story nowadays than it used to be.
It's yeah. The sun's a lot brighter these days. I gotta tell you that.
That it is. All right, cool. Thanks, Josh. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Thank you, Josh.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the school calendar. Let me see if I can figure out how to do the thing and share the thing.
You have it up if you want me to share it.
Yes, please. If you don't mind, that'd be great.
Do you want the proposed calendar or do you want all the details?
Let's just do the proposed calendar, that third tab. This is on the agenda, so if anybody wants to go in and see the sausage making, you're more than welcome to. But this proposed school year 26-27 calendar is where we've landed that we're trying to propose. We did have Josh go in and put this in the, for lack of a better word, gonculator. I don't know, OBMS, I think that's the system. And it does pass all of the checks for everything that we need it to for next year. Alexis and I had a discussion on next year removing remote learning days because those remote learning days require laptops for every kid. And Alexis, I'm gonna let you explain your plan real quick. I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick.
Gee, thanks. So my plan for next year, I mean, basically everybody kind of heard it at the beginning of this year, is less computers in the class. I want kids on computers less and less. I want them writing by hand and doing all of that stuff. So basically my plan is to get computers for the kids and put them in carts. So I don't want kids carrying computers around anymore, especially if we're the ones buying them. There's a lot of breakage that happens when kids drop their backpacks and stuff like that. So we would have carts in the flex room, in the flex areas, so that kids could get on Google Classroom and do what they need to do. But in the classroom, there would be a cart for a department and they would have to share it because I don't want kids on computers every single day. One of the things that we notice, especially from the admin side, is that when kids get on the computers, we get a lot of bark alerts. We get a lot of, Go Guardian alerts. And I've talked to a lot of teachers, and even when you're in the classroom and the kids open the computer, you've lost half of their attention. And so really kind of getting back to basics of working on pen and paper, and saving computers for things like simulations, or when you're ready to do a final product, then we're typing and doing that piece, but not an everyday we're on the computer.
Okay, so since we aren't sending them home with kids, we're going to remove the remote learning days because the PED's direction that came out said that if we have remote learning days, they have to be at least 50% live instruction. So we can't do that if not everybody has a computer, so we're just going to remove them. And then we will either make those days that would originally be remote learning that we had initially penciled in just days off, or we will change them to like a makeup testing day where we're still counting it as an instructional day because there are students that are going to be in school doing all their testing, those kind of things. So we're really trying to make this easy on parents and the teachers, especially for the remote learning. So right now we have school starting for staff members July 20th. And then elementary teachers will have the 20th through the 24th. So they will have that whole that whole week to do their teacher work days. So it's a little funky color wise on here because I couldn't figure out how to make things two colors. I'm sure there's a way. Didn't spend a lot of time on it. And then the middle school teachers, because the PED's calendar instructions say middle school teachers get less teacher work days, just hours in general, as opposed to elementary teachers, they will get 3 teacher work days at the front. And then middle school students, we're projecting will start July 23rd, and then elementary students will start July 27th. We do have built-in breaks. I know LCPS has a very long break in October for their fall break, so we tried to mirror that slightly as best we could. Because we're still trying to get to the 205 number that will give us the maximum amount of funding from PED, we couldn't let them take the whole week off, but we are trying to do everything we can to make it as beneficial as we can to match as many of those LCPS days as we can. So in November, LCPS typically has remote learning the 23rd and 24th. We will just be completely off. Again, no remote learning days. And then December, we will start Christmas break, December 21st through January 1st. Teachers will come back only on the 4th for a teacher workday. Students will return on the 5th of January. And then we've got term break days. Spring break will be the 3rd week in March, which matches LCPS's spring break. And then school will end June 23rd. Sorry, not 23rd. That is not the date. Sorry, nope, June 3rd. And for most kiddos, if they have to come back for makeup testing, that can go all the way through June 7th. Sorry, I'm going to make this one comment here that says,
Oh, I know, it's just going to fix
it
that.
will be June 3. Okay. So any questions from the board on the calendar?
I have a couple of questions. I didn't get to count all the parent professional development days. How many do we have in there?
You mean teacher work days?
Well, professional development where we're offering professional development to them.
So do you want to answer that, Alexis? Because
Yes.
it's a combination of teacher work days and others. Go ahead.
So we have professional development at the beginning. So these green days are going to count. That'll be mixed in there. And typically we would offer professional development on the 2nd of the term break day or in the afternoon of the first term break day once the makeups are done. So we have that time there. But officially it's going to be on these days here at the beginning, the 20th through the 22nd for middle school, through the 24th for elementary, and then again on January 4th. We did go ahead and sprinkle in parent-teacher conference for elementary on October 7th, and then again over here on March 29th.
Okay. I know that as I've gone through some trainings, and I just want to recognize that, Angel, I heard you say that the calendar was ran through OBMS and it, got cleared. But my understanding was that we needed to secure 10 professional development days for the staff.
So I did not see that in any of the calendar guidance, nor did Josh make any mention of that when he got this or ran it through OBMS. Let me text him and ask because I don't have an answer for that, but that is the first I've heard of that based on the guidance we got.
Okay. And then my second question was, I know last year when I first joined, there was some talk about we had to resubmit the calendar because there were days that were, I'm not sure what it was. Did we pay attention to that when we were doing this one?
Yes, so it was just a terminology difference between a no school day or a term break makeup testing day. So we opted for the term break makeup testing day, which counts as an instructional day, instead of the no school, which is nobody's there.
Okay, and I remember something else about some breaks. Like there was some breaks, and we worked on something like that. And I'm sorry that I can't articulate
That's okay.
specifically, but there was something that we were talking about where we had to resubmit because, like I said, days off, with terms or semesters. Does it ring a bell?
No, the only thing that's kind of ringing a bell is when we had initially we lost the day in August, maybe September. Is that what you're talking about? Because we did the no school instead of the term break?
Well, it was something to do with the for the days to flow smoothly and some time off with.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
So, sorry, yes. So the term break days right now for this school year are smattered like smack dab in the middle of a random Tuesday or Wednesday. So we have aligned all of those to coincide with a weekend, so we don't have random days off in the middle of the week.
Okay, and I think yes, you are very correct. Okay, thank you
Yeah.
so much. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we did take that into account because as a parent too, I'm like, it's kind of disruptive all over to have your kid home just for one day in the very middle of the week and then go back the next day. It's hard to explain that to kids. So, agreed. And I think we've got all that covered from here. Um, any other board members, comments, questions? Okay. And I am hopeful, fingers crossed, that this will be the last year. This coming year will be the last year we have to maximize all of the days that PED allows us to maximize funding because this will be the last year as we pull ourselves out of the hole that we were in, that we from here on out will just be upward trajectory. So it will not be as big of a deal if we decide to, match closer, maybe not as much as LCPS because they're just a really large district and have a lot more wiggle room. But if we cut off, the last few days of the school year and end at the end of May instead of, into the first week of June. So this next year, that's not really an option. If we're trying to still maximize funding, but the following year, so what is that, 27, 28?
Mhm.
Yeah. 27, 28, we'll be able to have a lot more conversations and get some parent input of what that looks like for actual starting and ending of school. Now we can't like cut it down to what it was when we were kids, where we were like at 180, because that's just not feasible. But we can have those discussions, just not for this next school year. Okay. Any other questions from the board? Okay, so this one does require a vote because it's going to have to be submitted with the budget when it goes in at the end of the month. So let's just do a quick roll call for approval. So I will make a motion to approve this proposed school year 26-27 calendar as it was discussed. As soon as we're done with this meeting, I will export it to a PDF and then throw that in the folder too, just so we know that's where it stands and it isn't a modifiable Excel anymore.
Okay, and if those 10 days,
Yes.
can we relook at that?
Yes. Yeah, if
Okay,
it comes back that those are a requirement, we'll just vote again next month.
okay.
But I think that's fine. So then I'll amend my motion to say, assuming that we do not require the, oh, hang on, Josh is responding. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
And then before I vote. And we'll just take care of this now. Maybe.
I don't see the little dots. You must see different dots than me.
I see little dots.
Okay.
They keep popping up and going away and popping up and going away. Okay. I don't know. They all went away. Okay. I'm going to amend my motion. I'm going to say, let's approve. I make a motion to approve the school year 26-27 calendar pending as is written. Oh, wait, hang on. Are you referring to 10 professional days for elementary counting as instructional days? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I just remember in one of the trainings that I took, they talked about the calendar and how governing council members should secure 10 days of professional development days for their staff.
Okay.
I'm looking at the frequently asked questions, and it says you can have up to 60 professional work hours for elementary and
Yeah.
30 for secondary, which is what we have. It's with the 7.5 hours, it's 4 days for secondary and 8 days for
Yeah, and it may just be splitting time wise,
Mhm.
because I think they potentially could have it as a 6 hour school day, which some schools do.
Yeah.
But our school day is just a little bit longer than that. So the hours are all still there, just may not be over 10 days. But all of the allocated or required hours are in there for the teacher work days and professional development.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so is that good, or you want me to still do some more fact finding on there?
Um, I feel confident that, whatever you're getting, is okay. So I would be okay to vote, in
Okay.
approving it.
All right, I'm going to go back to my original motion then to approve the school year 26-27 calendar as we discussed. Yeah. So if somebody wants to second that.
I'll second it.
Okay, and then we'll just go around real quick. Terry,
Yes.
Gabby,
Yes.
Violetta,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Angel, yes. Okay, motion passes. I will let Josh know. I will have him look into that just a little bit more, just so we're all very, very sure. But as of right now, throwing pens everywhere. Motion passes, and that'll be the calendar. So Alexis, once we convert that to PDF, you can send it out. We can make it a little bit clearer, unlike start days and things, since some of the colors are a little bit messed up. But they'll be able to send it out on Sunday.
Okie dokie.
Okay. Next thing on the agenda is the contract documents and the resolution. So these are all in the folder, in the governing council. Well, I guess, yeah, the governing council, what do they call them? The box on Google. Sorry, my words are escaping me at this point.
Dropbox.
Thank you. Well, maybe. I don't know if it's a Dropbox. It's just like our
It's in the
folder.
Google Drive. It's in the
That,
Drive.
Google Drive. Thank you.
Drive.
Man. Okay. Anyways, so here's the actual 37 pages of our contract that we discussed initially and ad nauseum with the PEC that we will be voting on. The resolution that goes with it.
Opening.
Where'd it go? Um,
Hold, please.
is that we all took a look at those documents and we are good with the documents as they are written based on conversations we've had and the discussion we had with the PEC for what's in the contract. And that for our next contract term of 2026 to 2031. So I know we talked a little bit about the renewal and the contracts earlier. Does anybody else have any questions on that? Okay, then I'm going to make a motion then that I think it's just approval. Oh, we have to approve the contract document and then also the resolution for Explorer Academy Las Cruces Governing Board contract documents. So I'm in the motion. Who wants to second the motion? And this is just so I can sign it, saying all the governing board members have looked at it, have agreed. And then the PEC, we can send this to the PEC so they can vote on it in their meeting next week, and then everything will be official.
I'll second it.
Okay. Roll call real quick. Terry,
Yes.
Gabby,
Yeah, yes.
Violetta,
Yes.
Christine. Did we lose her? Christine, are you there? Okay, I'm gonna assume she lost service. So Christine.
Yes, I'm
Oh,
here.
there you are. Okay, there you are. All right, thank you.
I
Angel.
was driving. Sorry.
No, you're good. I know. That's why I keep giving you a little bit of extra time.
Thank you.
Okay, so motion passes. We'll get this signed over to the PEC so they can put it in their meeting for next week. If you have any follow-on questions, feel free to reach out to me or Alexis or even Sam. Okay. Next on the agenda are a few policies. We tried to pick some easier ones since this is getting to be a longer meeting. So the first one we have is Foundation Conflict of Interest Statement. This is the one that Terry and I actually signed a month ago when we took over on the board for the foundation. So I don't have any issues with this. I don't know if anybody else has any comments, thoughts, etc.
I read through it and I didn't see anything to question or ask about.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion then that we approve this foundation conflict of interest statement as it is written.
I
second
second
it.
that motion.
Okay, and then I'm just gonna do an all in favor because this is not money or contracts. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, motion passes for that one. All right, next up is volunteer policy. So I did have a few questions on this one. And my questions, Alexis, unfortunately, are probably going to be directed to you at this point. Sorry, I didn't give you a heads up. So this policy, is it applying to all volunteers or only volunteers that are left alone with kids? Because I know we have like two groups of volunteers, right? One that requires background checks and all the things, and then others that can come in, and as long as they're not left alone with children, they're okay to be in the presence of teachers or other staff members.
We actually require everybody who volunteers to do a background check. It doesn't matter if you're left alone or not. You just have to have a
Okay.
background check.
Okay, so everyone is the correct answer then. Okay,
Cool.
and then they were talking about in here training. Hang on, let me get back to it. In the fourth paragraph, all school volunteers must complete the ethical misconduct training. Where is that kept?
That is a good question because I, to be honest, didn't know that they had to do the ethical misconduct training. So
Yeah.
this,
And Gabby, do you have any insight into that?
Actually, hold on a second. Actually, I don't. I know like through the
Okay.
university, it's on the website
Yeah.
for in general. So I don't know if with the state, or through the PD, it would have it under that.
Okay. Because I was a little leery to move forward much with this one because if that is a training requirement, which it looks like it is, and we don't know where it's at, we probably need to find out where it's at before we approve this one so we
And
can
I'm,
make sure it's in the right spot.
yeah, and I'm wondering because we do this for the teachers through Safe Schools or Vector, and I'm wondering
Right.
if,
Let it be there.
yeah, like if that would be, I wonder what the cost would be to add volunteers to do just that vector training. So, I
Right.
mean, it's potentially doable, but it's not something we're currently doing.
Okay. So I'm gonna motion to table this one then, until we can find out some more information on the training portion of it.
Okay.
Any objections to that? Or any other questions that have to be addressed on this one before we table it?
I think it's a good idea to table it and just check on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All
it
right.
gives
And
you,
Sam may know too, but she's just
it gives you a subsection, if you look up at
right.
the top.
Subsection A.
Yeah, and that is through the state.
Okay. So we'll just have to find where those are kept, and if we don't know, or they maybe weren't transferred over from ELN, then we need to establish our own repository somewhere with whatever that training looks like. So, all right, we'll table this one then, and we can talk about it once we get some more information, maybe next month.
And then there's a fee that they have to pay.
Yes.
Special
Yeah,
fee.
and I think that's still accurate. I know the PTO does offer to pay for some background checks if they can't be afforded, and the school may have some funds that we can set aside for that too. So cost should never be a deterrent for volunteering. Um, so agreed with that. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. The weapons policy. I oh, I think the only question I had was on the third page for where it talked about the penalties for violations. On uh, B, where it talks about expelled from school for a period not less than 1 year after a hearing. Does that match what's in the student handbook? I didn't have a chance to pull up what the student handbook says.
I want to say yes.
I think it does too, but I did want to verify before.
Let me look.
Sorry, I should have sent this over to you earlier.
It's fine. I can do it, man.
This should be in
Nothing
line
like putting
with,
you on the spot.
this should be in line with state statute also.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it
And I
looks
assume
like
so. So I assume our handbook is everything's good.
this policy, it looks like it was copied and pasted into the handbook, so they're
Oh,
exactly
even
the
better.
same.
Okay, well then it might be a redundant policy, but we'll keep it for now. We'll talk to Sam, and then see what that looks like. So, okay. Any other questions on this one? Since we already approved the same exact thing then in the student handbook. So, okay. So I'm going to make a motion then to approve the weapons policy, as it's written.
I second it because it's we already did it in the student handbook. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Policy's done. Okay. Next on the list is foundation status update. Hi. Sorry. So I don't have a huge update for you guys, but did just want to let you know that we are headed in the right direction. Terry and I have all of our documents signed. Dustin was filing everything with the state to get everything for the foundation changed over. The next piece of it is the IRS portion of it. Because there was a issue, from my understanding, with the foundation for the last time they actually filed taxes. So we're trying to get that all up and going and kosher as we move forward. So Dustin is actively working that, and there's nothing really else for the group. I just wanted everybody to be aware that we're still putting all the pieces in order, but we're good to go on that. Any questions on the foundation? Okay. All right. Next one. So I we have a list of vendors that provided services this year, and it is about that time of year that we need to start doing contracts for next school year because those contracts will pick up 1 July. And so I wanted to see who would be willing to create a subcommittee to attack all these contracts so that we can get them kind of initiated and potentially finalized, ready for board voting uh, in the May meeting, because I really don't want to have everything down to the wire again like we did last year and have all kinds of special meetings and all the things. I'm trying to avoid all that. So if we can get some volunteers for a subcommittee to do contracts, I would prefer to go that route rather than make our board meeting 6 hours and hash it all out in a board meeting. So, Christine, are you there?
I am.
Okay. Are you still willing to
Yes.
be on that subcommittee? Okay. And then
Yes, I am.
okay, and I talked to Ray earlier, and mentioned it to him, and he also would like to be on that subcommittee with you, Christine, to go over the contracts. Is there anybody else who wants to do that? We can only have a max of 3 people, but two is just fine. Um, if nobody else has a like need to be on the subcontracts committee, we'll keep it at the two. Um, and I think we can go from there. So, Christine, I have some notes written down from our finance meeting that I will pass over to you as you start looking at the contracts for next year. And please keep
Okay.
Alexis.
Thank you.
So we'll,
In the
Christine, and
loop. You got
that
it.
subcommittee. Okay, awesome. All right, and then next thing on the list is the executive session to discuss limited personnel matters related to the head administrator evaluation. So at this point, we are going to do, because of the type of Zoom we're in, where the board members and Alexis are going to move to a breakout room. And we will be there to discuss the limited personnel matters related to head administrator evaluation, and then we will all come back. So I will make a motion at 7:11 to do the executive session for the limited personnel matters related to head administrator evaluation, statute 1015-1H2.
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, Alexis, I know you're in charge of the Zoom today. If you wouldn't mind sending us all over there, the rest of you that are still here are welcome to hang out until we get back.
Second.
Do we have everybody? I think that's everybody. There's Terry. Okay. Okay. Statement. We're now reconvening in open session at 7:35 p.m. I will now state for the record that all matters discussed during the executive session were related to limited personnel matters. No action was taken, and no other matters were discussed during the time. I'll ask for a roll call vote to affirm this statement. Violetta.
Yes.
Oh, wait, I think I need a second. Sorry. Before I do
I'll
that.
second.
I'll second.
Sorry. I'll get the hang of this someday. Okay, Violetta.
Yes.
Terry.
Yeah.
Christine.
Yes.
Gabby.
Yes.
Angel. Yes. All right. Motion passes. We are back in open session. Okay. Says possible action following closed session. No action from the board at this time for that. Okay. Board comments. I do not have anything else that we have not already discussed. Does anybody from the board have anything else they want to share with the broader group? Seeing no across the board. Okay. We will open it for public comment at this time. Please note if you do have a public comment, you will get no more than 2 minutes per comment. If you wouldn't mind raising your hand, and then you can turn on your camera and unmute yourself if you would like to say something. All right. Seeing none. I think everybody was here earlier for the calendar talk, if I had to guess. Okay. So that is it for tonight's meeting. Our next regular board meeting is Wednesday, May 13th, at 6 p.m. via the regular Zoom link at that point in time. So I will adjourn this meeting at 7:37. Thank you guys all for your time tonight. I appreciate it, and we will chat again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good
Good
night,
night.
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.